Today's episode of Jumblethink is presented by Send in Blue. This is episode 351 of Jumblethink.
T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Jumblethink, where we interview incredible people about their journey of turning dreams and ideas into reality. Along the way, we're going to share some tips on how you can turn your own dreams and ideas into reality too. Our guest on today's episode is Chris Vance. More about Chris in a moment. Whether you're a new listener or a longtime fan, if you've never subscribed to Jumblethink, now's the time to do it. Head on over to wherever you listen to podcasts and click that subscribe button. To make it even easier, if you head on over to jumblethink.com, you'll find links to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, and more. So head on over and click that subscribe button. Now let's join today's conversation. Hey there, friends. Welcome to Jumblethink. My name's Michael Woodward. I am your host, and we have a great conversation lined up for you today. But before we dive into that, we want to thank our friends over at Send in Blue for sponsoring today's show. Send in Blue can help you manage those email lists and newsletter campaigns with ease and power. Best of all, as a listener of Jumblethink, they want to give the first 100 Jumblethink listeners who sign up 1 month free of their premium plan. All you have to do is head on over to sendinblue.com/jumblethink and use the code Jumblethink to get that first month free. We have a great conversation lined up for you today. Our guest is Chris Vance. He is the CEO and visionary behind Playground Sessions. Playground Sessions is this really cool platform combining video tutorials, gamification, and real-time feedback to help you learn piano at home. Not only did Chris set this up to help others, he's actually used his own platform to help learn piano himself. Now, a few months ago, Playground Sessions did something cool. They decided that they wanted to do this virtual piano recital. And their co-creator, Quincy Jones, was a part of it, and some other really well-known musicians like Harry Connick Jr. joined in, and they helped teach You Raise Me Up to thousands of people around the world. Once those people learned the song, they could submit a video back playing the song, and then they brought all those video clips together to create an epic video of the world's largest piano recital. It's hard to say duet because it's hundreds of people doing this song together. It's kind of like the We Are the World video done in the late 80s, early 90s. So the link to that video is in the episode notes. You're going to have to check that out because it's super, super cool. Prior to starting Playground Sessions, Chris worked as managing director for Zag, a brand invention company, as well as being a brand inventor. He's served as a brand manager for Proctor Gamble and worked in finance with Goldman Sachs and author Andersen. I could tell you a lot more about Chris, but instead, let's go ahead and join the conversation we had with Chris Vance. Our guest today is Chris Vance. Chris, thanks so much for joining us here at Jumblethink.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the time. Excited to be here. I'm
excited too. You've not only created something really cool at Playground Sessions, but you've had kind of a wild ride in this world of COVID and creating an amazing creative outlet, both to learn, but also to share some hope along the way. So we're going to talk about that project with the You Raise Me Up video you did and much more. It's going to be super, super cool.
I'm excited. Thanks for having me again.
All right. Before we dive into what you're doing today at Playground Sessions, which super cool. Excited to talk about that. I want to get your backstory a little bit. You obviously Playground Sessions is around the world of music, specifically keyboard and learning and all of that. But you didn't start in the world of music. So how do you go from Goldman Sachs to Zag, this incubator, to creating a music-based startup and a really cool platform?
Yeah, I don't know, quite honestly. I've done a few different things, and I guess at this point, I think you just end up where you're supposed to be. I think in many ways, it's important that I've always worked hard and dreamt big and just felt like if I did well by my bosses and learned and grinded, that eventually I'd be in a good position. So. I started out actually before Goldman. I went to Boston College and, whenever you are 19 years old, you don't really know at that point. At least I didn't exactly what I should be doing in the world. And I thought, oh, I'm good at math, and my dad's an accountant, so why don't I become an accountant? Okay, and so I came out of school and did auditing, which did not work for me. I was decent enough at it, and I'm super grateful for all the skills that I learned. But I just did that for a couple of years. I got my CPA license and then went and joined Goldman Sachs in New York City and worked there for a few years on the commodities trading desk and product control stuff. And it was good experience, really smart people, hardworking people. But again, I was like, it just wasn't me. So a lot started to change for me when I left to get my MBA at Northwestern at the Kellogg School of Management. At that point, I decided that I wanted to do a career change. I always loved marketing. Now, I didn't see entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship kind of surprised me.
Okay.
I wasn't one I'm just going to, throw it all out there and see what happens. Maybe that was, just some of being an accountant, right? So, but I went to Kellogg and had a great experience there, and started after Kellogg, went to work for Gillette, which was bought by Procter Gamble. So I spent about 5 years at P&G as a brand manager. And my mother used to always, tease me and tell her friends, oh, my son went to one of the best business schools in the world, but he sells toothpaste. Help me understand that. So, good one, Mom. But I learned a lot, right, in brand management. And, I think that's where, my, being analytical really helps, being passionate about brands, competing for market share against competition. Learned a lot there. I really fell in love with marketing. And then I was recruited out of P&G. I started at the end of that kind of time to do a lot in digital marketing. In fact, I tell people, I remember when, people from Facebook used to bring me to dinner, come out to Cincinnati, bring me to dinner, and they would always introduce themselves by number. They'd be like, oh, I'm number 7. Any idea what that is?
No.
It's number 7. They were the 7th employee at Facebook. That's how.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
I was like, man, I should have stayed in touch with number 8. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I just fell in love with digital marketing and how technologies, can be used to build brands, and went to run this incubator out of New York City called Zag, and worked on a few projects there. One of which is Playground Sessions.
So you kind of stumbled upon Playground Sessions in the journey of being a part of this incubator. So it wasn't like, hey, I'm going to go start this. It just kind of it boiled out of that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess as an entrepreneur in some ways, it started when I accepted the job at Zag, because as an incubator, you're starting these business. I had to run it, my own P&L, had to recruit people. So I think that's where I started to kind of get a taste for, I'm in charge, but there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that, right? Yeah, and it's a lot of hard work, but I was definitely in charge. And we worked on a few things. We created this brand. It's really a top selling tequila today. It's called Qui Tequila, an extra añejo platinum tequila, one of the first in the world. It's just beautiful, and we're super excited about the momentum of that brand. But we also worked on Playground Sessions, and this is where, as a marketer out of P&G, I said, listen, guys, it's going to be really important nowadays to have a brand that can scale globally. So the idea of like an insight, right? What is the consumer insight that's really going to lead our thinking here? It needs to be a deep one. It needs to be one as soon as you say it, everyone all over the world said yes. And at the time, this is back 2010-ish, YouTube would become more popular, and it's a place to go and learn how to do things from music, cooking, gardening, everything about that. Yeah. And to my surprise, there was technology, although it had disrupted a lot of industries, hadn't done much yet in terms of music learning. So we just saw an opportunity to kind of converge different categories and then use technology as an enabler to give people more access. And that's really what happened. And then there was as part of an incubator, we got some articles written about what we were doing, one of which was how to start a brand in 7 steps that I was featured in. And then another one was just about Playground Sessions, and they were calling it the Rosetta Stone of music. And Quincy Jones, famous music legend that he is, his story, because he's the co-creator of Playground Sessions, he came on very early. And the story with Quincy is he was walking in an airport and saw like a Rosetta Stone kiosk, very good marketing, contextualized market, people about to travel. And he said, where's Rosetta Stone for music? The universal language is music. The last 2 things on earth are going to be water and music. And fortunate for us, somebody had just read an article about playground sessions coming out of Zag, and Quincy asked to meet with me. And then I came, from that meeting with Quincy and kind of recapitalized the company, spun it out, became its CEO. But the funny thing about Quincy, I remember telling the music team, because with playground sessions, I also solved my own problems. I'm kind of selfish like that. I said, wait a second, we're gonna start a brand. I'm gonna be so involved. Might as well do something that I'm passionate about. I kind of say that jokingly because when it comes to music, so many people, it's like 85% of people in the world, you ask them, would you like to play an instrument, will raise their hand and say, yeah, I would. Right. So, but I was kind of like Playground's first consumer. Quincy came so early. We were still prototyping the technology and thinking about the curriculum development and stuff like that. And my music team's like, you can't go meet with Quincy. You don't play. And I'm like, that's the whole point. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun. Quincy was kind of joking with me, but I've gotten much better now. And every time I see Quincy, I'll play on his piano and we'll have a good time.
That's super cool. I want to step back here. You mentioned Incubator, and I think of kind of two different subsets of the world of incubators. I think of those places that are kind of like co-working spaces, but they're set up for the purpose of startup founders and creative people who don't know what they're doing to come together and have those resources. But it sounds like the kind of incubator that you worked with was a company that was saying, hey, we want to create an entrepreneurial think tank in a way of creating a business out of that. So for you, that's a vastly different way to approach business. I'm curious, you talk about the tequila brand, you talk about playground sessions. There's the old saying, ideas are a dime a dozen, and I think that's true to an extent. And there's also the saying that it's about fulfillment that actually turns an idea into a business. And so I've got to think, when you're in a think tank style incubator where you're kind of tossing out ideas, there's a lot of creativity and a lot of possibilities flowing. How do you vet an idea and say, oh, this tequila brand is something we want to invest in? Oh, this playground sessions, even if it doesn't have a name at that point, this is something that we want to do. How did you figure out these are the things that we really think have legs to them?
It's a great question. And I have many different feelings and emotions when it comes to entrepreneurship, because it's very challenging. But I think personally for me, I relied heavily on the business side of things.
Okay.
Right. And just sizing the market up, understanding pricing, the role promotion will play, how much value you can extract from a product, what the competitive site looks like, is it scalable? So I think that's so much in my background, right, on just analysis and accounting, and then, the brand building, chops that I learned at Proctor Gamble. So it was always fun. And I think I'm also a pretty creative person, and I can get as energized and really love all of that. But I certainly would get into the numbers and would kind of establish the process with the team to say, this is what we're going to go. And it was somewhat P&G like, write it down, right? Let's analyze it. Let's put it through a system. Does it get through? Okay, now let's bring some outside advisors. So it was pretty heavy early on before we committed to an idea. I think the idea, some people say they're a dime a dozen. Some people say that's the easy part. The idea, unless it's executed, right? There's so many great ideas that never get executed. It's kind of sad, right? So for me, it was just focusing on what can we execute that's sustainable, that can be profitable, that can grow. Because if you do that, then you have so many opportunities to constantly reinvent and more ideas. Now your ideas can be in the form of product design. Now your ideas can be in the form of marketing and communication. Now your ideas can be in the form of partnerships. But you got to get to that place first, which takes, for my team and my group, it was just a lot of analytical discipline.
Interesting. I love to hear different people's responses on those kind of things, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business people, a lot of creatives feel like they have to adapt a model that may not be authentic to them. And here you found a model taking your experience and applying it to how you figured out, this is where I want to invest my time, my energy, my resources. And I think a lot of people go, oh, I want to do a tech startup and be like Facebook. And so I'm going to follow their model. And it's disingenuous to actually their skills, their abilities, and everything.
Doesn't make sense. I never understood that. And you have to really be in love with the idea and the product.
Yeah.
Playground sessions, I mean, it's kind of scary. I was over learning. I come from a family of educators. I always went to some of the best schools. I just love to learn.
Yeah.
And was also, drawn to, new music and always loved the piano. So like, I'm kind of selfish in that way, but I don't think it's, it happens a lot. Entrepreneurs will fall back on their own personal experiences. And this is the other thing that I would say, right? I kind of said it earlier, but even before the analytical rigor and figuring out gross margin and all this stuff, right? If you're not leading with a good consumer idea, if you're not solving a problem, if you're not being insightful, right, then it's much more challenging to really build the brand. And I think what separates, Qui Tequila and Playground Sessions from some the idea of brand was built right at the core. Mm-hmm. Right at the core, the idea of built.
Yeah.
The idea of brand was built into these products. So you really have to start with a good consumer insight and then go from there.
I think that there's been this huge move of Moog style learning or platform based learning. And, you see Masterclass, you see, Harvard Extension's doing it. You're seeing all these different platforms that are out there doing and creating this. You come in and say, I want to start one around learning music, and yet you don't know how to play. And, you mentioned your team and you're going to meet Quincy Jones to talk about this concept. You don't know how to play. I think it's interesting to take something that you have an interest in, something that you desire, and yet you don't have the skills to do it. So how did you process through, how do I create a platform to teach something I don't know?
Well, if it doesn't work for me, how can I expect the product to work, when it gets in other people's, living rooms? And I think there's certainly something like energizing, right? To also be, with your team and I'm practicing and trying. This worked for me. This didn't work for me.
So guinea pig number one.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. To answer your question, at the end of the day, it's all about who you hire, right? I don't want to do this by myself. My joy today comes from the customers who are learning. And I know everyone on my team would share that sentiment, but it also comes from everyone that I work with.
Yeah.
I really like the people, right, that work with us, and a lot goes into the hiring process, and we hire the best, and we're fortunate we get to work with Quincy Jones and Harry Connick Jr. So I think if you're smart about who you hire, and the culture you're setting, then you create a really good workplace where innovation thrives.
Yeah. Now I'm a music junkie. I don't know if you see it behind me, but I have a Gibson guitar behind me. I have a hollow body electric and my Taylor in front of me. I have some guitar amps over there. I've been playing music. My first instrument was piano at 4 and learned that. Now I can still play piano, but I'm not nearly, as good as I was when I was in, my teens or something like that.
Yeah.
I love music, and you get to work with these legendary names like Quincy Jones and Harry Connick Jr., two people that are heroes in the space of creativity and sound and what they create. That sets a standard for you that you're saying, we're not just playing to create something cool, we're playing to create something great. Because when you bring in names of greatness, when you bring in people who are putting their brand on your brand, you have to say we're playing for being good. We're playing to be great at this. Yeah. So from day one, it sounds like you had a desire for excellence in this process. Now how far are you in it on this now?
We're far along. We've gotten over a lot of the hurdles in terms of why people fail. I mean, it's crazy. You look at these guitars that you just mentioned, right, from all the different brands and keyboards, certainly no different. But it's about 90% of these instruments are under the bed or in the closet within 30 days. So for me, it's a commitment to solving that problem.
Yeah,
I think people from around the world have unfortunately they weren't given the right tools to learn how to play. And as music is definitely in us, right? It's something that we can do. So it's all about giving them a product to allowing them to be themselves, really.
When did you guys start?
We started, so we were part of Zag.
Yes.
Right. For the first 2 or 3 years, just kind of prototyping, building, and you're not always the most efficient when you're working kind of with an incubator because you're focusing on different projects at the same time. But we kind of spun out and became more kind of committed to everything we were doing in late 2012 and launched a public beta with Quincy in April of 2013.
Wow. So this is, 6 years in now, at least.
Yeah. And our, we have, people, I think we're sold in 144 countries.
Wow.
Right. We're getting more. One of the cool things about Playground Sessions is we give real-time feedback. So if you play a note right, it will turn green. If it's wrong, red, close, pink. And then you get progress visualizations and all cool type of stuff to kind of keep you engaged on the platform. But, a lot of times you'll hear like the word gamification used for some of these things. But we always say that with Playground Sessions, the biggest reward, right, is the music itself. We never want to get in the way of the music. We are certainly borrowing tools and different, innovative things that are coming out of new education to help us along. And it's been usually successful. We can, unlike, language apps that, are really challenged to get people to a level of fluency.
Yeah.
With Playground Sessions, whether or not you've never played a note, whether or not you're 75 years old, it's your first time trying, or you played as a kid, you want to come back to it, yourself included. It's really set up. It allows people to kind of learn at their own pace. Right, it puts you in complete control of the song. So one of the critical things about Playground Sessions is we have a song library. It's like an iTunes store, Spotify. But you get to choose the music you want to learn, whether or not it's Rihanna or Beyonce or Bruno Mars, Adele, Taylor Swift, John Legend, to the greats, the Beethovens and the Mozarts and the Miles Davis, all genres, all levels. So it's really cool and it works. We're getting much better retention than what you're seeing in the traditional way of learning.
Well, that was my next question. I hear of a solution like this and I think beginner. That's immediately what comes to mind. Oh, they're going to get people in and then they're going to be like, hey, you've exhausted our curriculum now. Good luck. You're on your journey now.
Yeah.
But that's not the case.
Absolutely not the case. You talk to Quincy, he'll say he's still learning.
Yes.
Right. So it's one of the, as playing music, you're never done learning.
No.
Right. So it is a lifelong great space to learn and to find fulfillment and progress, no matter what level you're at. Some of the biggest smiles we get, and I say this all the time because it's true, are from people that already know how to play music. And the reason being is because we surround you with all of these backing tracks and orchestrations, which is pretty atypical when you think about a piano player. So now I'm playing music, and it's not just what I'm playing. You can turn everything off in the background, but early on, you want the full band, right? And you want to be playing the melody or accompanying it. So that's just so much fun that even people with a lot of experience, they really love the platform as well. But you can really progress very far.
Well, we're going to wrap up this first segment. There's always 3 questions we ask as we do that. The first one being, how do you find purpose in what you do?
Wow. I think purpose is for Playground Sessions, like I said, I think it's pretty sad that people have been stigmatized and, they had a bad experience as a kid or they haven't had access to music. So for us, it's a problem that we're trying to solve and we find purpose in that.
What's one big challenge you're currently working to overcome?
Scalability, software-led company, content-led company. So there's a lot of great things in scaling, but it is challenging to, continue to provide the right level of customer support, which you hire more people. So with COVID and people being quarantined from all over the world at home, kids can't go to school. Playground Sessions has just taken off. I mean, it's 400, 500% in terms of engagement on the platform, sales, everything. So I think we've been setting ourselves up to scale, but we've had to do it more quickly than we expected. So just making sure we continue to bring in the right talent that buys into the culture of the company, and then are at kind of the front lines with the customers.
What's the next big dream, idea, or goal that you have?
We want to get into as many homes as possible. It's like the personal computer. If you make learning accessible, affordable, you got a chance at it. But really important, this is where I think we really differentiate ourselves from a lot of the moves and Masterclass and different companies that are out there. The only thing we care about, it's super single-minded, right? It's scary. It's so single-minded. Like, do we work or not? do people learn or not?
Yeah.
Right? Because if they do, and they are today, right? But that's been a lot of work, hard work, and different ways of thinking. Think about just the impact we can have. You know what I mean? So we're just all about, and I always say, listen, if the answer somehow lies in a book or a piece of sheet music that's kind of been around forever, we'll start doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we think there's a lot that's happening today that we can harness and to provide, a successful experience, and then we'll go from there.
We're going to take a break right here. When we come back with Chris Vance, we're going to talk about a really cool project that they did called the You Raise Me Up video. It's super cool. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk more about playground sessions, and we're just going to have a lot of fun. We'll be right back. Hey there, friends, it's Mike, and over the last few weeks, I've been telling you about this really cool tool called Send in Blue that we've been using for our email newsletters. I want to give you a little bit of an update on our experience and some of the things that I've been super impressed about with their platform. If you build email newsletters at all, you know that one of the most difficult things to do is to build email templates that really reflect your brand. The tools are just clumsy and difficult and really hard to use. That's why I've been super impressed with my experience using Send in Blue. They have 3 tools that you can use to build out those email campaigns. They have a drag and drop builder, which is really easy to use. You just take the element you want. Maybe it's an image or some text, or you want some blocks for content. You just drag it over and then you design around it using their click and edit tools. Really easy to use. They also have a rich text editor. And for those techie people out there, you can get down and dirty into the code and really build out templates exactly how you want. Now, building email templates is critical to getting campaigns that work for your brand. So when I found that their tools were easy to use, I wanted to let you know. I hope you'll take some time and check them out. Best of all, for the first 100 Jumblethink listeners who sign up, they want to give your first month free on their premium plan. So head on over to sendinblue.com/jumblethink. That's sendinblue.com/jumblethink and use the code jumblethink to get your first month free. Now let's return to the conversation. We are back with Chris Vance. Before we dive into the conversation in the second segment, how can people find and connect with you? How can they find and connect with Playground Sessions?
Yeah, so, I'm just Chris at playgroundsessions.com. Always happy to hear from people. So please, reach out directly. Our website is just playgroundsessions.com. And you can find us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram as Playground and Playground Piano.
I mentioned before the break that you had a cool little project with You Raise Me Up. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so, this is the 35th year anniversary of We Are the World. Mm-hmm. Everyone remembers Quincy Jones bringing everyone together for such a good cause. So, just working with Quincy and his team, we thought, what can we do, during a very tough time for the world?
Yeah.
And, the thing that music is so great, it just transcends. It sits at the highest level, right? And we thought if we can bring people together, right, it was something that we would work hard at and became very passionate about. And, so You Raise Me Up. So we also partnered with Hal Leonard, right? Hal Leonard's the biggest music publications company in the world. So very likely if you're looking at a piece of sheet music or a book, a good chance that it was published by Hal Leonard. So they were partners with Quincy and Playground Sessions. And we basically said, we're going to do this free online course, open it up to anyone in the world, across all devices. We had to build new technologies so people could be on their phone and Android, all different things. And we orchestrated. So David Sides on our team is a great guy, great teacher. He's a YouTube influencer, he's a wonderful piano player. He orchestrated the song. So it had, 8 different sections, a long 5-minute song. And he did it in a way where in certain sections, different levels would play, right? People had never played before, right, to someone kind of starting out, what we'll call a rookie, through more intermediate and advanced players, and even sections at the beginning of the song and at the end for really young kids. So that was really special. So we did that differently. And then basically we just showed up every day. You download the app, you go to our website, and every day we'd have a new lesson teaching You Raise Me Up, which was done by our one of our music teachers, Phil Andersen, who just did such a great job. And, at the end of that journey, at the end of 30 days, we asked people if they wanted to just record themselves on their phones, playing the song, right, the section that they were taught. And my gosh, we had, over 7,000 people learn the song. We had about 925 videos of these recitals being performed. And the most special part, and it really showed the power, was 52 countries actually participated. So we ended up with, it was a massively huge, the learning stuff we're so good at. We work really hard at it. We got some good experience, and we always try new things. But we knew we would deliver there. But to see so many people successfully learn, like I said, it's all about success, right? You got to be able to teach them. To be able to successfully learn the song, it's not an easy song. It modulates a lot, a few different key signatures, and it's long. To have success, to come together and be so excited, right, to be part of this community that was encouraging and supporting each other along. And it just culminates in this 5-minute video of just basically a montage of all of these people that submitted these videos. And then we synced it all up by all of the sections. There's parts of the song now where you're hearing 300-400 pianos being played at the same time. And, our head of music engineering, Byron Wu, did a fantastic job. He had over 900 tracks. Can you imagine trying to mix it?
That sounds like a Pro Tools nightmare right there.
Yeah. We got some behind the scene videos you have to check out, but it was quite the project, but very, very worthwhile.
I'm curious. You mentioned that there was a backtrack to it, and it starts. I don't remember if it ends with this too. I'm trying to think back, but it starts with a violin or cello player. Yeah. Who's playing cello there?
So that's Steven from the Piano Guys. So we actually also partnered with the Piano Guys. So for your listeners who don't know, the Piano Guys, wildly successful YouTube group. It really stars a cello player and a piano player. Mm-hmm. And I mean, they got 6-7 million subscribers on YouTube. Very, very successful. They loved the concept. A lot of people wanted to participate in this just because they wanted to give back. And so we got very, very fortunate, and Steven did a recording both just for the audio, so when people were learning, that was in the backing track, but also did a video performance. So you see the Piano Guys in the video as well, which we were super excited about.
That's super cool. Now, I'm assuming that the musicians are probably playing to a track as they record or something to keep them on time, or because that alone, getting everyone to play at the same tempo, and that's a nightmare.
Yeah, and I tell my team a lot. I think this comes from that entrepreneurial spirit, trying to do what it takes. So there's always a little bit of risk taking involved, right? And I tell my team that. I said, I know our hearts will always be in the right place, right? We'll always have really good meaning and intention. But sometimes we got to push ourselves. Sometimes we got to stretch ourselves. And during the quarantine time, I said, guys, take care of yourself first. Be safe. Make sure everything's set up at home. And if you have the time, this is a great time for us to really overinvest in the brand because our customers around the world need us. Yeah. Right. And this, Quincy's team, they challenged us, like, can we do this recital? We had the concept, but nothing like this has ever been done. So we ended up we had a couple rules, one of which was to play your section of the song with either the metronome, which kept you in sync, right, or to the backing tracks, right, or both. Yeah. So, we prototyped a couple things. We're like, what if 40 people, I think it was 25 people actually, look like on screen, and what can we mix 25? Yeah. We didn't expect almost 1,000. Yeah. But as you saw in the video, it came together. It's very beautiful. The participants did such a great job. The other thing we weren't sure about, because playground sessions is about learning, right? Even the great musicians, they practice. It takes time to to play the music, right? Yeah. So we just make the playing fun and easy for everyone. But we also know our users are very focused, right? So I was like, I'm not sure what it's going to look like on screen. Because we're not a very serious brand, right? We're like a fun brand, committed to excellence and all these things, but we're not that serious. We're not that, music teacher, slapping your wrist by any stretch of the imagination. We always say there's no bad notes, right? It's kind of a jazz philosophy. Yeah. So Yeah, everybody, even though they were serious, they dressed up. They came ready for that performance, man, and that's the coolest part.
Yeah.
And then to also see all the different ages, right? Men and women, different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different nationalities, everything represented in this very powerful, inspiring song. You know, during a period where people are looking for some hope, some things to grasp on, and here comes music once again, you know, filling that role. So it was pretty cool.
It was also kind of fun to see that it wasn't just a celebrity-driven thing. I think there's a lot of people that value celebrity right now. However, they're kind of like, it's just becoming white noise with like every celebrity trying to share what they want and that kind of thing. And it kind of seems like some of these causes are overshadowed by celebrity. And you know, Quincy was a part of this. I think Harry Connick Jr. was a part of it somehow or something, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we tried. So, you know, I think that's a great point. And, you know, now so much of the conversations we're having is just about kind of the video and how it all came together.
Yeah.
But what I can tell you is for, you know, a month before the campaign started, planning all the way through the first 3 weeks of the campaign, because we're still producing lessons and showing up in people's rooms, you know, living rooms every day.
Real quick, how long, you know, once you kick this off, what was the duration of like the curriculum for this?
Right. So there was 4 courses. There was a kids course. They played kind of the intro and outro of the song. There was a rookie course where they learned like the first chorus and the outro. There was an intermediate, right, where they learned the first verse, the second chorus, right, and I think the third chorus. Then there's an advanced section where they learned the instrumental, played with Steven from the piano guys, and then the fourth chorus. So the shortest course was, you know, I think the kids was maybe only like a week.
Oh wow!
Right? The intermediate, I think, was the longest course, and that was like 19 days. So, you know, I would say the rookie and the advanced courses were a couple weeks. Then we gave people about a week to just get ready for the recital, and then to send us their performance, the edit. We really messed up the edit where our timing. We thought, we'll be good with a week, right? And the first and we said, we'll leave it open for a week. People can submit their videos. And the first, you know, we're getting 20 a day, 50 a day. It felt pretty good. And then I think we got maybe like 400 all the way up to the next day. And we were talking to each other, like, okay, let's start the editing process. We'll probably get another 50 tonight. The last day was like the last holiday sale promotion or something like that, because the last day, in the last 2 hours, we basically doubled the number from 450 to 900. You know what I mean? So instead of 1 week of editing, it took us about 3 weeks to get it right, but it was well worth it. But yeah, but to answer the question about the celebrity piece, because we have lots of opportunities with celebrities, but I totally agree with you. You know, I know the celebrities are working hard, right? Mm-hmm. And they're trying to provide entertainment, and sometimes it works really well, sometimes it doesn't work as well. But for us, it wasn't really so much about the recital. It was about the 3 weeks of having something to do every day, to put your mind on something. Because we knew if you learn this song, we know the pleasure, the fulfillment that's going to come. And that was good. That was great. You know, the fact that so many people put the recital together and then the video came together so well is just icing on the cake. But this really is about a campaign to say, you have the time, you're looking for things to do, learning to play the piano, learning a song. Maybe you know how to play the piano, but you haven't played in 10 years. This is a great time to do it. And it certainly worked. And, you know, as you can see from over 7,000 people jumping on it.
We're going to put the video in the episode notes. So wherever you're watching, either the link or the actual video will be right there. So make sure to go watch it. It's a really, really cool video. I want to wrap up this segment learning a little bit more about the platform. You mentioned that there's different genres of music, jazz, pop, rock, traditional, classical, and across the board. First off, let's make it personal. What are you focused on learning right now?
Gosh, so I'm learning a song. I think what's it called? Someone You Loved or Something to Love. It's a really cool song. It's a pop-based song. But I play lots of stuff. You know, I'm hesitating a little bit there because really what I do most of the time now on the piano is I'm trying to learn how to improvise.
Ah.
And when I say learn, again, you're never really done learning, right? I'm just experimenting, right, and playing different things. But I also participated in You Raise Me Up, so that was the song I was learning before that. But I love all different types of music now. I mean, it's been so cool, working with Quincy and learning so much about this stuff. But we have classical to jazz to more traditional to pop culture as well.
What do you think is the most popular curriculum across what you're working on?
So you'd be surprised. Like a lot of people really love, more kind of contemporary piano songs. Yeah. Right? Because they're learning how to play the piano. So guess what that means? They love the piano, right? They love the sound of the piano. So, despite, listen, we still probably our number one genre is going to be kind of pop and rock. Yeah. It probably only about 40% of all the songs, right? And then I think it's maybe close to 25, maybe even 30% are classical songs that surprise people, or more like contemporary piano and things like Roma, very, very popular. Some of the Italian composers. So we have tons of music, for you to learn. And again, I think that the number one thing I want you to take away from Playground Sessions, whether or not you have zero experience or some experience, it's really a step-by-step guided system where you get to, be in control of what you're learning and how you're learning it.
You're like 7-8 years into this from concept to where you are today. When you mentioned early on that you'd like to start adding more than just piano. And I say that it sounds bad, just piano. I don't mean it that way at all. But is that on the horizon soon to add in maybe guitar or drums or whatnot?
Yeah, we're experimenting. I've always loved strategy of focus, and I get back to the analytical rigor, right? There's kind of a time and place to when you extend. There's obviously lots of similarities. Yeah. It's still music, for instance, right? But, both guitar and piano are two of the biggest instruments, in the world. So right now we're still very much focused on making sure we're giving people success, with the piano and just getting the awareness out there. We've really cracked the nut and solved a lot of the issues that have kind of been around for so long. So we're doing really, really well with the piano. But we just want more and more people to learn. And then at some point, I think you'll see us go to the guitar.
Super cool. Well, we are going to take a break right here. When we come back, we are doing rapid fire questions with Chris Vance. We'll be right back. Hey there, friends. It's Mike, and easy and powerful don't usually go together. That's what I've found out when it comes to email newsletter management. The tools that I've loved for years recently changed their platform. They're clunky, they're hard to use, and they're not all that powerful. Worst of all, they're not all that simple to use either. That's why I wanted to tell you about our friends over at Sendinblue, which is the all-in-one marketing solution that helps you create beautiful email campaigns. Best of all, they're not limited just to your email campaigns. They can help you with marketing automation, text message marketing, chat tools, Facebook ads, and more. Best of all, they want to give you 1 month free of their premium plan to the first 100 JumbleThink listeners who sign up. It's time to get the best tools that you can use for your email management by using Sendinblue. I'm loving them. I recently switched over, and I think you're going to love them too. So check them out at sendinblue.com/JumbleThink. Use the code JumbleThink to get your first month free. Now let's jump into rapid fire questions with Chris Vance.
Mettez le contact, reposez votre bras et attendez. Restez calme pendant un moment.
We are back with Chris Vance. Are you ready for rapid fire questions?
I'm ready.
As a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Gosh, as a child. Oh my. Happy.
What is one tip you'd give someone with a big idea or dream and they don't know where to start?
It's important to be realistic.
Okay.
Right? Because you can expend a lot of energy, and it's a super important, the ability to get people to kind of energize by your idea and by yourself is very, very important. But sometimes that energy can become so big that you're not thinking practically about what really needs to happen, right, to make this work. And so if you're not careful about that, that energy can turn into, well, where is this? Is this really going to? So you got to also be practical. So you want to bring the energy, but you want to have a plan.
What is one change you'd like to see in the world?
Less political. I mean, we're human beings at the at the end of the day, right? I think we're we get to, fortunately, I've traveled, a lot, and we're seeing more and more people travel and things open up. Certainly a lot of benefits, some things that maybe aren't the greatest, but at the end of the day, I think what we're learning are we're all human beings, right? And I would just like to see the world just be a little bit more kind to each other.
Love that. What do you want your legacy to be?
Just somebody that people enjoyed being around, and made a lot of good decisions, I care about people, and I hope they see that. That shows up with my family, that shows up with my friends, people I work with. So, my mother always taught me, just be kind, right? So if I can just, show up as somebody that, helped people along the way and provided some laughs, and they know they were cared for, for me, then I'll be quite happy.
Where do you find inspiration?
Gosh, I mean, I love to run.
Okay.
I'm an avid runner. I love to get out there in the outdoors. So I just, you look around. Sometimes just be quiet and just observe, right? And there are although sometimes it's hard to see if you really pay attention. So many beautiful things are going on, right? So I can remember sometimes I'll be flying. Like, playground sessions is so hard, and I'll be kind of flying back from some trip, and I'll see like the New York City skyline, and I'm like, someone built New York City.
Yeah.
Surely we can figure out how to build this company to teach people how to play the piano.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of incredible things out there already, right? And just kind of keep your eye out for them. Find inspiration of what's already been done.
What is one book you think every dreamer should read?
I love reading. One of my favorite books is Watership Down by Ansel Adams. And that's a book about rabbits. It's kind of funny, but it's a book about rabbits in their life, but they take on characteristics and names of people and some stuff like that. So I love I work so hard, right? So I'm really into kind of fantasy. You know what I mean? And through these rabbits, I was able to identify, again, like, when things go bad, how to get out of it, how to work as a team, how to problem solve. And how to set goals. So that's a super good book.
For you, how do you define success?
Happiness. I think playground sessions, we keep growing. We keep finding more success. We keep kind of overachieving some of our own expectations in many ways. But as you get bigger, right, with success, your problems get bigger, right? And kind of the stress continues, right? If you're not careful. So I think this is pretty simple. You do the right thing with the right intention, and you enjoy the journey, right? And that should be your success that you're seeking.
What is one trend you are currently excited about?
Well, it's a trend that's been around, and certainly I think it's bringing a little bit more attention to it. But all of the stuff the do-it-yourself, stuff in the homes and great. I think there is so much. I'm just so excited that people are now discovering, education doesn't stop after high school or college, right? And, you can learn, and, learning to cook or learning how to play an instrument is cool. Right. So there's so many more outlets that are out there, for the world. So certainly online learning, do it yourself at home, accessibility, good content, right? Not just like, okay, use your brain type of content, right? And, so much fulfillment can come from that.
What is one thing you wish you would have known when you first started out?
I think I wish I would have known that you can do it. There is truth to hard work, like, pays off. So entrepreneurship and starting a company, it's a lot to it. It's complicated. It's hard. You gotta have a lot of things have to work. But if you work at it, right, and you put together a team that you like and needs to like you, right, and you guys work hard and together, then it is doable.
If you weren't doing what you're doing today, what do you think you'd be doing?
I think there's a good chance that I really love marketing and brand building. I could, again, entrepreneurship's hard. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There are times where I'm like, oh man, I love Nike. I should just be some brand director, at Nike, big budgets and all of this stuff. I also, at some point, I see myself going into teaching.
Oh.
I'd actually be more surprised if I didn't end up at Kellogg or Columbia or some MBA program teaching marketing and entrepreneurship at some point in my life.
And finally, what is one dream that you want to complete in your own life?
Climb Everest.
Nice. Love it. As we wrap up, we always like to leave our guests have the final thought. What is your final thought for all of us listening today?
Well, first of all, just thank you for listening. Right. I hope everyone is, safe and doing everything they can to make these times as I don't even know what the word is, doable as possible.
Yeah.
But I just think, listen, for anyone that's thinking about entrepreneurship, right, or even how can you get ideas done, at these bigger companies. I think it's important to have the right level of energy, right, but put the work in, be smart about the work, right, and then whether or not you're doing it, on your own as an entrepreneur or you're trying to sell through an idea, have the energy, but be smart about the work and the recommendations, and a lot of things will fall into place for you.
Chris, thank you so much for taking time out. Super excited about the You Raise Me Up video that you and your team put together with so many incredible learners, really. And thanks for sharing the story of Playground Sessions. It's been truly inspirational.
I really appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Once again, we want to thank today's guest, Chris Vance, for taking time out to be with us here on Jumblethink. As always, you can find his links in the episode notes, along with that really cool video of You Raise Me Up. We also want to thank our friends over at Send in Blue. Send in Blue is a killer tool for managing your email newsletters and beyond. I love them. I think you're going to love them too. Make sure to go check them out. You can check them out by going over to sendinblue.com/jumblethink and use the code jumblethink to get your first month of their premium plan free. But remember, it's only good for the first 100 Jumblethink subscribers, so get over there and subscribe right away. I also want to thank you for tuning into today's show. I think sometimes we think that we have to have all the answers when we start out. But with Chris's story, he didn't know how to play piano, and yet his platform was teaching people how to play piano. Sometimes the best ideas are things that you're learning to do as you go along. It's a way to spark passion and learning and growth. So just because you don't have all the answers, just because you don't have all the solutions right up front, doesn't mean you shouldn't step out and start creating. Now, it's up to you. You can only create your dreams. I can't do it for you. Your parents can't do it for you. Your children can't do it for you. You have to make those dreams and ideas a reality for yourself. So get out there, dream big, and change the world around you.
Étirez-vous doucement, mais complètement. En avant, en arrière, sur les côtés. Vous êtes une autre personne. Les mères de famille, les enfants, peuvent également prendre un moment revitalisant. Dans quelques mois, lorsque vous aurez bien saisi la technique et que vous serez maître de votre corps, vous pourrez vous décontracter même en travaillant.